Hardly renowned for his sartorial elegance, indeed scruffy and git are two words that spring to mind, Tom Waits had made his name as a bourbon-swilling, downbeat barroom drawler with such albums as Closing Time, Heart of Saturday Night, and his latest live album, Nighthawks at the Diner. His style, lest we forget, was more akin to the work of beat poet Charles Bukowski than that of fellow ivory ticklers such as Elton John and Barry Manilow, and his skew-eyed view of life led to him becoming the uncrowned king of the defiantly unimpressed. Let's hear from Tom, for want of a better phrase, in action.
For heart attack, now you gassed her behind the wheel with your arm around your sweet one, your Oldsmobile, barreling down the boulevard. You're looking for the heart of Saturday night. The piano has been drinking. The piano has been drinking. Not me, not me, not me, not me.
What follows is the sound of a BBC interrogator juggling soot, as Tim Blackmore tries to nail Tom's influences and aspirations.
Is it possible for you to say, Tom, what tradition of rock stroke pop music you see yourself being a part of?
You mean what category I fall under? I don't know. I've never fallen under a category. I fell underneath a car once, and I haven't been the same since. I kind of am a bit of a curator, a raconteur, a collector of nocturnal emissions and improvisational adventures into the bowels of the metropolitan region, and I do inebriational travelogues. I'm a pedestrian piano player, and I get by all right.
The first time I ever heard the name Tom Waits, somebody said to me, "Oh, he's a folk singer."
Yeah.
Now, would you ever have answered to that name?
You mean if somebody came in a room and said, "Is there a folk singer here? We need a folk singer. Is there a folk singer in the house?" That's a pretty broad statement, you know. When essentially you're a merchandisable commodity, and there you are in the bowels of the music industry. You know, they have to have something to grab a hold of, and you know,
well, they have to know which browser to put your albums in.
That's right. I've been in miscellaneous for a long time, so I guess I'm a miscellaneous singer. You know. Friends of mine would give their left nut to be doing what I'm doing now, so I don't complain too much, you know.
So you've worked out where you are now, that's fairly clear. What about when you actually started getting into music? I mean, how did you come into the professional sphere?
Originally set out to be a professional service station attendant. And so, you know, I'm just taking the breaks right now, you know. I'll get there someday. You know, right now I just kind of moonlighting.
Listening to your music, you remind me of certain qualities that Tom Lehrer had.
Tom Lehrer? You got me there. Is it a personal friend of yours?
That's interesting. Can you remember what your first professional engagement was? You know, when you actually really started and you got paid for the first time.
I was changing tires on miscarriages, and I was making like just minimum wage. I had a good job sweeping up every day at a little place called Napoleon's Pizza House. Down the street was the Golden Barrel and the Westerner Club, Burge Roberts Mortuary, and Sorensen's Triumph Motorcycle Shop. There was a Club 29, a Melody Club, Raphael's Silver Cloud Lounge, and Escalani's Liquor. I was working as a dishwasher and cook, and
So how did you move from that into getting paid, or getting paid most of the time, I imagine, for music?
started working as a doormat at a club and listening to a lot of different kinds of music. Kind of put a wild hair up my ass and gave me an idea to start performing myself. I guess it was about 8 years ago.
The big things musically then would have been the Beatles and Dylan.
Yeah, they were real popular.
Now, which of those two do you think you would have felt closest to?
Well, I didn't really feel that close to them. I mean, I used to call, but they never would return my calls, you know what I mean? You got a light, John, and so I don't have a match. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, good, thank you.
If I was going to do a program with you and I wasn't going to play any of your music, which would be a bit of a stupid thing to do anyway, but I wanted you to explain to the audience what sort of things you wrote about, what your music was about, what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
How would you explain that in words?
Well, isn't that where we started? Right now I'm working on material for an album called Pasties and a G-String. I know you have G-strings over here, but you don't have pasties, do you? You know what pasties are? Well, pasties are the little buttons on the boobs, you know? They put buttons in a little tassel, you know, and they shake them around. And they go with the G-string. They hate to break up a set, you know? I mean, you can get the pasties and not get the G-string, but it costs more. You might as well get the G-string thrown in.
Pasties and a G-string, beer and a shot. Portland through a shot glass and a buffalo squeeze. Wrinkles and cherry and Twinkie and Pinky and Fifi live from Gay Berry. Fanfares, rim shots, backstage, who cares? All this hot burlesque for me. Zooby-dabba, 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 squeedy-dabba, dizzy-zay-ya. Cleavage, cleavage, eyes and the hips from the neighborhood.
You said earlier, you when you're writing, you like to feel you're stretching yourself. How do you mean that?
I just mean improvising in conversation. It's just, it's kind of I mean, everybody needs a different climate in order to create. Mine usually comes in spurts. Like I'll be I mean, I get a couple of loggers and I can like leave town, you know. And if I'm talking with somebody in a bar or something, I try to stretch out in conversation. I try to open things up, and then I try to remember it all later, and then I write it down. You know, so.
On 2 or 3 points, you've mentioned the idea of being in a bar, having a few drinks, etc., etc. What's the disadvantage of not having a few drinks?
Well, you get awful thirsty, you know. Yeah, I like to have a couple of drinks. You know, I don't drink to excess. You know. Well, I don't have a drinking problem, except when I can't get a drink, you know. I've got this thing here. It is about drinking in a bar. It's kind of a little self-pity number, you know. Got to throw in a little self-pity now and then, or people think you're not human. It's called Bad Liver and a Broken Heart, you know. And, you know, it's about drinking the whole river. You know, since she tore me apart, you see.
Well, I got a bad liver and a broken heart. Yeah, I drunk me a river since you tore me apart. And I don't have a drinking problem, except when I can't get a drink. Wish you'd have known her, we were quite a pair. She was sharp as a razor and soft as a prayer. So welcome to the continuing saga. She was my better half, and I was just a dog. And so here I am slumped. I've been chipped, I've been chomped on my stool. So buy this.
Well, you say you buy this fool some spirits and libations and name your poison, make some noise. I ain't sentimental. This ain't a purchase, it's a rental, get it?
Do other people record your songs?
They have in the past. I don't know if they're going to continue to. Have you now, or have you ever been guilty of recording one of his songs? I guess it's a nice compliment to have somebody do your song and it keeps you in chump change for a while, but I'd rather that they just stayed away and let me do them.
So what's the ultimate aim? I mean, obviously you want to be a raconteur, you want to communicate, you want to do your things in nightclubs or whatever where people sit down and listen to you and just let you be you.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there some big thing you're shooting for?
That's what I've been shooting for, you know. I don't set my sights too high, and then, I don't set them too high. I just got a call from Time magazine. They told me my subscription is up, so, it's just little things like that. You start to feel you're moving in the right direction. But, no matter what you do, the dawn cracks hard like a bullwhip and won't be taking no lip from the night before, and it shakes out the streets and the stew bums show up like bounced checks, rubbing their necks in the sky, turns the color of Pepto-Bismol, and when you got your old sport coat full of promissory notes and a receipt from a late-night motel, you gotta comb back your Detroit and you jack up your pegs and you wipe your Stacey Adams and you jackknife your legs, 'cause the hawk has his whole family out there in the wind and he got a message for you to beware, and he be kicking your ass in a cold-blooded fashion and dishing out more than a good man can bear. Just 'cause you got 3 albums out and you can afford to take taxi cabs, you still got to put a coat on when you go outside.
So there you have it, Tim Blackmore's verbal wrestling match with Tom Waits circa 1976.